Dr. Hana Kim pressed her face against the cold glass of the observation deck. The stars looked so peaceful from here, tiny white dots scattered across the endless black. She had been living on New Geneva Station for 3 years now, and these quiet moments still took her breath away. Behind her, the station hummed with life. 15,000 people called this place home. "Mama, look what I made!" Yuna's voice broke through her thoughts. Her 8-year-old daughter ran up holding a drawing of their family. 3 stick figures stood in front of a big rectangle that was supposed to be the station. Hana smiled and picked up the little girl. "It's beautiful, my love. Where's Papa in this picture?" "He's at work in the medical center. He said he'll be home for dinner tonight." Yuna pointed to one of the stick figures. "That's you, that's me, and that's Papa." Hana hugged her daughter close. Life wasn't easy on the frontier, but moments like this made everything worth it. Her husband Minho worked long hours as a doctor, and she spent most of her time in the research lab studying new energy sources. But they were together, they were safe, and they were building something important, out here among the stars. The alarm started as a soft beep, then it grew louder and louder. "Attention all station personnel," came the voice over the speakers. Station Administrator Jiwon Park sounded worried. "We have unknown ships approaching. All civilians report to designated safe areas immediately." Hana felt her heart skip. Unknown ships could mean pirates or worse. She grabbed Yuna's hand and started toward their apartment. "Come on, sweetheart. We need to go home and wait for Papa." But they never made it. The first explosion threw them both to the floor. The lights flickered and went out for a moment before the emergency power kicked in. Red warning lights bathed everything in an eerie glow. People were screaming and running in all directions. "Mama, I'm scared," Yuna cried, clinging to her mother's arm. Hana picked up her daughter and ran toward their residential section. More explosions shook the station. Through the windows, she could see massive alien ships hanging in space like dark clouds. They were bigger than anything she had ever seen. A new voice came through the speakers. It was cold and mechanical, speaking perfect English but with strange pauses between words. "Primitive species, you have contaminated this system with your presence. This territory belongs to the Vorthak Empire. Evacuation will commence immediately. You will comply." Hana reached their apartment building just as another explosion rocked the station. This one was different, stronger. The whole building shook like it was falling apart. She could hear metal twisting and breaking somewhere above them. "Who are the Vorthak?" Yuna asked, her voice small and frightened. "I don't know, baby, but we're going to be okay. Papa will come find us soon." But even as she said it, Hana knew something terrible was happening. Through their apartment window, she could see one of the alien ships pointing something at the station. A bright blue light was building at its tip. Station Administrator Park's voice came through the speakers. Again. He sounded desperate now. "Unknown vessels, this is New Geneva Station. We have 15,000 civilians aboard, including children. We request time to organize safe evacuation procedures. Please respond." The alien voice answered immediately. "Request denied. Evacuation is inefficient. Cleansing will begin now." The blue light from the alien ship suddenly shot out like lightning. It hit the medical center where Minho worked. The entire section simply vanished in a flash of superheated light. One moment it was there, the next moment there was just empty space and floating debris. Hana stared in shock. The medical center was gone. Minho was gone. "Where did the big building go, Mama?" Yuna asked, looking out the window. Hana couldn't speak. She couldn't breathe. Her husband was dead. Just like that. No warning, no chance to say goodbye. The aliens had simply erased him from existence. More blue lights lanced out from the alien ships. The school disappeared. The shopping district vanished. The entertainment complex turned to glowing plasma. With each strike, hundreds or thousands of people died instantly. Their own building shook again. Hana heard the ceiling cracking above them. She grabbed Yuna and dove under their kitchen table just as chunks of metal and concrete came crashing down. When the noise stopped, Hana found herself trapped under heavy debris. Her leg was pinned and bleeding. But Yuna was worse. A piece of twisted metal had pierced her small chest. Blood was spreading across her daughter's shirt. "Mama, it hurts," Yuna whispered. "I know, baby. I know. Just hold on. Someone will come help us." But no one came. Through the hole in their ceiling, Hana could see alien soldiers floating down on strange platforms. They wore armor that covered them completely. When they found human survivors, they just stood and watched. They didn't help. They didn't even seem to care. Hana held Yuna for 6 hours as her daughter slowly died. She begged the alien soldiers for medical help. She offered them anything she had. She screamed and cried and pleaded. The aliens just stared at her with their blank helmet faces like she was an insect making noise. When Yuna finally stopped breathing, something inside Hana broke. But what grew in its place was something the Vorthak had never seen before. It was cold and patient and absolutely merciless. The aliens thought they had won. They had no idea what they had just created. Retry SF. 3 months had passed since the day the sky burned. Hana Kim sat in the dark corner of Detention Block 7, staring at the metal walls that had become her world. The Vorthak had built these camps quickly after destroying most of New Geneva Station. Of the 15,000 people who once called the station home, only 3,000 survived. They were packed into cramped buildings like animals waiting to be processed. Every morning, the alien guards came to select workers for the energy mines. The mines were dangerous places where humans dug for glowing crystals that powered Vorthak ships. Many workers never came back. The aliens didn't seem to care. When someone died, they just sent more humans to replace them. Hana watched as the guards entered their block. They wore the same blank armor she remembered from that terrible day. Behind their dark visors, she couldn't see their faces, but she had learned to read their body language. These creatures moved with the confidence of masters who had never been challenged. You, and you. One guard pointed at random prisoners. His voice came through a translator device that made him sound mechanical. Mining duty. Move. Dr. Suho Lee was one of the chosen. He had been Hana's research partner back when they were free. Back when they were human instead of just numbers in an alien database. Suho looked sick. His skin was pale and his hands shook. 3 months of hard labor and poor food had broken down his body. "I don't think I can work today," Suho said quietly. "I feel very weak." The guard tilted his head like he was studying an interesting bug. "Weakness is inefficient. You will work, or you will be disposed of." Hana felt something cold twist in her stomach. She had heard that word before. Disposed. It meant death. Quick and simple. The Vorthak treated human life like garbage to be thrown away. Suho tried to stand but fell back down. The radiation from the mines had been poisoning him slowly for weeks. Now his body was giving up. The guard made a gesture to another alien who raised a weapon. "Wait," Hana said, standing up. "I'll take his place. I'm stronger." The guard looked at her for a long moment. Then he made a sound that might have been laughter. "One slave unit is the same as another. You will work. He will be disposed of." The weapon made a soft humming sound. Suho looked at Hana with sad eyes and smiled. "Take care of yourself, Hana. Remember what we learned in the lab." The plasma blast was quick. Suho was there one moment, gone the next. Just like Minho. Just like Yuna. Just like thousands of others. But this time was different. This time, Hana didn't scream or cry. Instead, she felt something cold and sharp settle into her mind. She looked at the guard who had killed her friend and memorized every detail of his armor, his stance, his weapons. She began to think like a scientist again. In the mines that day, Hana worked next to Captain Hyuk Kang. He used to be a soldier, before the invasion. His family had been executed by Vorthak guards for the crime of asking for water. Like Hana, he had stopped showing emotion weeks ago. "They think we're broken," Hyuk whispered, as they dug crystals from the rock face. "They think we've given up." "Have we?" Hana asked, not looking up from her work. "I haven't. Have you?" Hana thought about Yuna's last breath, about Minho's gentle hands, about Suho's final smile. No, I haven't given up. I've just been thinking. About… What? About them. Hana nodded toward a Vorthak guard watching from nearby. I've been studying them. Their weapons, their technology, their habits. Did you know they always check the same corners when they patrol? Did you know their armor has cooling vents that could be weak points? Hyuk stopped digging and looked at her. You're planning something. We all are. We just don't know it yet. That night, Hana found others like herself. Engineer Nari Choi, whose twin sons had died in the bombardment. Her eyes held the same cold fire that burned in Hana's chest. Teenage Woo Jin Nam, barely 16, who had watched his parents die saving him. The boy was brilliant with computers and had been secretly watching the alien systems. They met in the deepest part of the mines where the guards rarely went. The crystal formations there glowed with soft light, making their faces look like ghosts. How many species do you think they've conquered? Hana asked the group. The guards talk sometimes, Woojin said. I've learned some of their language. They've defeated 47 different species across the galaxy. 47, Nari repeated. And all of them gave up eventually. But we're not them, Hyuk said. We're human. Hana nodded. Exactly. We're human. Do you know what that means? The others looked at her with curiosity. In the crystal light, Hana's face looked different, harder, more dangerous. It means we remember everything. Every kindness, every cruelty, every face, every name. Other species might forget their pain over time. We don't. We carry it with us, forever. We let it make us stronger. She looked at each of them in turn. They killed our families, they destroyed our home, they treat us like animals, but they made one mistake. They let us live long enough to get angry. Really, truly angry. Woojin smiled for the first time in months. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had just realized they had a weapon their enemies didn't know about. What do? Nari asked. We learn, we plan, we prepare. And then we show them what human rage can do when it has time to grow. The first sabotage happened on a Tuesday morning. Hana was working in Mineshaft 7 when the main excavator suddenly stopped working. The Vorthak guards rushed to fix it, but the machine stayed broken. By the time they brought in a replacement, the work schedule was ruined for the whole day. Strange malfunction, the chief guard muttered in his mechanical voice. These machines are built to last centuries. Hana kept digging with her hand tools, her face showing nothing. But inside she felt a small spark of satisfaction. The excavator hadn't broken by accident. Woojin had taught her which wires to cut to make it look like normal wear and tear. Over the next few weeks, more equipment began failing. Transport vehicles got flat tires from sharp rocks that somehow appeared on the roads. Food processors in the alien kitchens developed mysterious glitches. Communication arrays experienced interference that made the guards' radios crackle with static. The Vorthak blamed poor maintenance and bad luck. They never suspected the humans were learning their technology and turning it against them. Captain Hyuk was teaching combat skills to small groups of prisoners. He used the cover of exercise periods to show them how to fight with makeshift weapons. A broken piece of pipe could become a club. A sharp crystal could become a knife. Even their bare hands could be deadly if they knew where to strike. The key is patience, Hyuk whispered to a group of 12 humans gathered in the back of Detention Block 3. We don't fight them today or tomorrow. We prepare. We get stronger. We wait for the right moment. A woman named Minji raised her hand. She had been a teacher before the invasion. How do we know when that moment comes? Hyuk looked toward the front of the block where Hana was pretending to sleep. When she tells us. She's the one with the plan. Meanwhile, Engineer Nari was studying Vorthak weapons. Every time a guard came close, she memorized details about their plasma rifles. She learned how they were held, how they were activated, where the power cells were located. In the workshops where humans repaired mining equipment, she practiced building similar devices from scrap metal and stolen parts. The power source is the weak point, she explained to Hana during a secret meeting. Their weapons use the same energy crystals we mine. If we can get enough crystals, we can make our own guns. Young Woojin had become a ghost in the alien computer. Systems. His job in the communication center gave him access to Vorthak networks. Slowly, carefully, he mapped their security protocols and learned their passwords. He discovered shipping schedules, guard rotations, and most importantly, the locations of other human prison camps. There are 17 camps on this planet alone, he told the others. Maybe 50,000 humans total, and there are camps on other worlds too. Hana felt her anger grow colder and sharper. 50,000 humans enslaved. Millions more probably dead. The Vorthak hadn't just attacked New Geneva Station. They had been systematically destroying human colonies across space. We need to contact the other camps, she decided. This can't just be about us anymore. The network grew slowly but steadily. Hana used her scientific training to organize everything like a research project. She divided the humans into cells of 5 people each. Each cell had a specific job: sabotage, weapons, intelligence, communications, or recruitment. If one cell was discovered, the others could continue working. She became known as the Rage Mother among the prisoners, not because she screamed or showed emotion, but because of the cold fire that burned in her eyes. When new prisoners arrived broken and hopeless, she gave them something to live for. She reminded them of what they had lost and promised them a chance for justice. They want us to forget, she told a group of newly captured humans from a mining colony. They want us to accept this as our life, but we don't forget. We don't accept. We remember every face they killed. We remember every home they destroyed, and we use that memory to make ourselves stronger. The sabotage grew bolder. Entire mining operations would shut down for days when critical equipment failed. Guard patrols started disappearing in the deep tunnels, their bodies never found. Vorthak supply convoys began arriving with missing cargo and confused drivers who couldn't remember what had happened. Commander Veltar, the alien leader who had ordered the destruction of New Geneva Station, called for increased security. More guards were assigned to watch the humans. Random searches became daily events. Punishments grew harsher, but it was too late. The humans had already learned what they needed to know. In Mineshaft 12, the deepest level where the best crystals were found, Hana's people had built a secret workshop. Using stolen tools and salvaged materials, they created weapons that looked like mining equipment but could kill. They stockpiled energy crystals and learned to make explosives from chemicals in the processing plants. Most importantly, they made contact with human prisoners in other camps. Wujin's communication network spread like a virus through the Vorthak systems, carrying messages of hope and plans for rebellion. 6 months after the destruction of New Geneva Station, Hana stood in the crystal-lit workshop surrounded by 100 armed humans. They weren't prisoners anymore. They were soldiers preparing for war. Tomorrow night, she announced, we begin taking back our freedom. The Vorthak think they've conquered us. They're about to learn what human rage can really do. Outside, the alien guards continued their patrols, unaware that death was walking among them, patient and quiet and absolutely unstoppable. The attack began at exactly midnight. Hana had chosen this time because the Vorthak night shift was always smaller and lazier. The alien guards thought humans were broken animals who would never fight back. They were about to learn how wrong they were. In Detention Block 7, Captain Hyok moved like a shadow through the darkness. He had been waiting for this moment for months. The 2 guards at the main entrance were talking in their strange clicking language, not paying attention to anything around them. They never saw the sharpened piece of metal that slid between the joints in their armor. Hyok dragged their bodies into a storage room and took their weapons. The plasma rifles felt heavy in his hands, but he had practiced with similar devices that Nari had built from stolen parts. He knew exactly how to use them. Meanwhile, in the communication center, Wujin sat at his workstation pretending to repair a broken scanner. The Vorthak supervisor was asleep at his desk, confident that no human would dare cause trouble under his watch. Wujin smiled and began entering commands into the alien computer system. Within minutes, every prison camp on the planet lost communication with the central command. Security cameras went dark. Automated defense systems shut down. Emergency alerts were blocked before they could be sent. The Vorthak technology that had seemed so powerful was now working against them. In the mining tunnels, Nari led a team of 20 humans toward the weapons storage facility. They moved through maintenance, shafts that the guards never bothered to patrol. The aliens were too proud to think that primitive humans could use their own building plans against them. The storage facility was protected by energy barriers and electronic locks, but Nari had been studying these systems for months. She knew which circuits to cut and which codes to enter. The barriers flickered and died just as the locks clicked open. "Take everything," she whispered to her team. "Weapons, ammunition, armor if it fits, leave nothing for them." Across the compound, similar scenes were playing out. Humans who had been treated like slaves for months were suddenly armed and dangerous. They moved with the patience that comes from planning every detail and with the fury that comes from losing everything that mattered. Hana herself led the main assault on the guard barracks. She had memorized the building's layout and knew exactly where each alien slept. The Vorthak had powerful technology, but they had grown lazy from centuries of easy victories. They never expected enemies who could think and plan and wait for the perfect moment to strike. The first guard she encountered was checking his weapon in the armory. He looked up in surprise when she entered, probably wondering why a human prisoner was walking around freely. His confusion lasted exactly 2 seconds before Hana's stolen plasma rifle erased him from existence. "For Yuna," she whispered, moving to the next room. The battle lasted 4 hours. When the sun rose, every Vorthak in the prison compound was dead. The humans had lost only 6 people, and they had gained enough weapons and equipment to arm a small army. But this was just the beginning. Within a week, 17 prison camps across the planet had been liberated. The network that Wu Jin had built allowed perfect coordination between different groups of humans. They struck at the same time, used the same tactics, and achieved the same devastating results. Commander Veltar received the news while reviewing supply reports in his flagship, orbiting above the planet. At first, he couldn't believe what his subordinates were telling him. Humans, fighting back? It was impossible. In 400 years of conquest, the Vorthak had never encountered serious resistance after the initial invasion. "Send reinforcements to all facilities," he ordered. "Double the guard patrols. Execute any human who looks suspicious." But it was too late for simple solutions. The humans weren't just fighting anymore. They were learning and adapting faster than the Vorthak could. Respond Hana had established her base in the ruins of New Geneva Station. The place where her family had died became the headquarters for her growing army. She stood in what used to be their apartment, looking out at the stars through a hole that used to be a window. "Status report," she said to Captain Hawk, who had become her second in command. "We control 43 facilities on this planet. We have over 8,000 armed fighters. Nari's workshops are producing 50 new weapons per day. Wujin has broken into their military communication network." "And the other worlds?" "Messages are getting through. Humans on 7 different planets have started their own rebellions. The Vorthak are calling for help from their home systems." Hana nodded. This was better than she had hoped. The rage that had started with one woman holding her dying daughter was spreading across the galaxy like wildfire. A young fighter approached with a captured Vorthak communication device. "Ma'am, they're trying to negotiate. Commander Veltar wants to discuss terms for peaceful coexistence." Hana took the device and spoke into it with a voice like ice. "There are no terms. There is no negotiation. You killed our children. You destroyed our homes. You treated us like animals. Now you will face the consequences." "You cannot win," came Veltar's mechanical voice. "We have superior technology and vast armies. Surrender now, and some of you will be allowed to live." Hana's laugh was cold and terrible. "You still don't understand what you've created. We're not just fighting for victory anymore, we're fighting for justice. And humans never forget and we never forgive." She crushed the communication device and turned to her officers. "Prepare the fleet. It's time to take this war to them." The captured Vorthak dreadnought Deathbringer drifted through space like a metal mountain. Hana stood on its bridge, looking out at the stars that had once seemed so peaceful. 6 months ago, she had been a simple research scientist. Now she commanded a ship of war crewed by humans who had nothing left to lose. "Final approach in 10 minutes, Captain Hyok reported from the weapons station. Half his face was covered in burn scars from their last battle, but his hands were steady on the controls. The Vorthak command ship is directly ahead. Through the main screen, Hana could see their target. The Eternal Conquest was the largest Vorthak vessel ever built, home to their high command, and the symbol of their power across the galaxy. It hung, in space like a dark moon, surrounded by smaller warships that looked like deadly insects. "They're trying to communicate again," Wu Jin called out from his station. The young man had grown thin and hard during their months of fighting, but his skills with alien technology had made him invaluable. "Commander Veltar wants to talk. Put him through," Hana said. The bridge filled with the mechanical voice that had haunted her dreams. "Dr. Hana Kim, you have caused considerable damage to our operations, but this ends now. Surrender your vessel, and we will consider allowing your species to exist as a servant." "Grace?" Hana almost smiled. Even now, facing defeat, the aliens couldn't understand what they were dealing with. "You still think this is about winning and losing? About territory and resources? You don't understand what you created when you killed our families." "Explain," Veltar said, sounding genuinely curious. "You created something your empire has never faced before. You created humans with nothing left to lose except their rage, and human rage doesn't die. It doesn't fade. It burns forever." Behind her, Engineer Nari worked frantically at the engine controls. They had spent weeks modifying the Deathbringer's power core, turning the massive ship into the largest weapon ever built by human hands. When it exploded, it would take everything within 1,000 kilometers with it. "Weapon systems ready," Hyuk reported. "All human vessels are in position." Hana looked around the bridge at her crew. These people had been teachers, miners, shop owners, and farmers before the invasion. Now they were warriors who had learned to turn their grief into precision and their love into fury. Each one had volunteered for this final mission, knowing they would not survive. "You have 10 seconds to surrender." Veltar's voice crackled through the speakers. "After that, we will destroy you." "We already destroyed ourselves," Hana replied. "The moment you killed our children, you destroyed the people we used to be. What we became is your responsibility." The Vorthak opened fire first. Plasma beams lanced out from their command ship, striking the Deathbringer's hull. The human vessel shuddered but kept moving forward. More enemy ships joined the attack, filling space with deadly light. "Hull breach on Deck 7, someone reported. "We're losing atmosphere." "Keep us moving," Hana ordered. "Nari, how long until we're in range?" 3 minutes, the engineer called back. "But the power core is becoming unstable. We might explode before we reach them." "Then we better hurry." The Deathbringer pushed through the enemy fire like a wounded animal refusing to die. Explosions tore through its hull, but the ship's human crew kept fighting. They had learned something important during their months of rebellion. That determination could overcome technology, that rage could defeat superior firepower if it burned hot enough. Captain Hyuk fell when plasma fire burst through the bridge wall. Young Wu Jin died at his station, his hands still typing commands to keep their systems running. Engineer Nari was crushed when part of the ceiling collapsed, but not before she finished arming the weapon that would end everything. Hana found herself alone on the bridge, surrounded by smoke and sparks and the bodies of her friends. Through the cracked view screen, she could see the Vorthak command ship growing larger as they approached. Soon now, very soon. She activated the ship's communication system one final time, broadcasting on every frequency that could reach across the galaxy. Her voice would carry to human colonies on distant worlds, to alien empires that had never heard of Earth, to species that were just beginning to explore space. "This is Dr. Hana Kim, formerly of New Geneva Station. I am a human being. 6 months ago, the Vorthak Empire destroyed my home and killed my family. They thought they had conquered another weak species. They were wrong. Plasma fire erupted around the bridge, but Hana kept talking. We are human. We remember everything. We forget nothing. We love deeply. And when that love is taken from us, it becomes something else. Something unstoppable. Something that will follow you across space and time until justice is done." She reached for the final control that would overload the ship's power core. Her hand was steady. Her voice was calm. "To every species listening to this message, Remember what happened here. Remember that humans asked for nothing but the right to exist in peace. Remember that when we were denied that peace, we became something else entirely. The Vorthak command ship filled the entire view screen now. Hana could see individual windows in its hull, probably where alien commanders were watching their approaching doom. "We are coming for all of you," she said, and pressed the button. The explosion could be seen from 3 star systems away.